Tonight on America's Hope, what's happening with education in America? We'll be talking to Olivia Krolczyk, who got into trouble for identifying herself as a biological woman. And Professor Nicholas Giordano joins us to talk about how border security is impacting how your child is taught at school. America's Hope starts right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Wright, and this is America's Hope. We do hope that wherever you are, that you're safe and well, taking care of yourself and your family, because you matter. You really do matter. You matter to your family, you matter to your loved ones. And in this current climate we find ourselves living in, many people are torn asunder about sex. Are they male, female, transgender? And it's actually worked its way into college campuses, into high schools, into elementary schools, and it's become quite confusing for some, but certainly not for our next guest. Olivia Krolczyk is Riley Gaines Center ambassador and campus reform reporter. She works with the projects of the Leadership Institute, and both of these organizations are part of that. And while pursuing her major in chemistry at the University of Cincinnati, she was given a failing grade in one of her courses for using the term biological woman. Olivia's post about her experience on TikTok reached more than 6 million views before it was deleted from the platform for community guideline violations. And later, Olivia was permanently banned from TikTok for speaking the truth about being a biological woman, and pointing out the fact that men and women are in fact biologically different. It's how God made us. Anyway, she joins us now. Olivia, thank you for joining America's Hope. First of all, that chemistry major, how important is it for your completion of your degree?
Well, as a chemistry major, of course, it's so important to be able to take these science courses, but at University of Cincinnati, diversity, equity, and inclusion classes are a requirement in order to get your degree. So I was forced to pick between a couple class options, being LGBTQIA plus activism, queer studies, and then what seemed to be the less of the evils, women's gender studies.
So this class, when you were talking about yourself and identifying yourself as being a biological woman, how did that all come about? What were you writing the paper for?
Yeah, so I had to complete a project on feminism in this class, and we could choose any topic we wanted to, really, as long as we were able to use 3 sources from our class projects and assignments and things like that to support our work. So I chose to write about the rights and opportunities that women have had in athletics and history. And I started with the first woman in the Olympics, going all the way to what we are experiencing now with an example of Riley Gaines competing against Will Thomas and, having to face a man. And in this project, I used the term biological woman. And I now know that it was redundant in itself to use the term biological in front of women, because that's really playing their game by letting them know, hey, there's a different kind of woman, but there's not. So I shouldn't have used biological to begin with. But my professor decided to give me a 0% on this project, saying that biological woman was transphobic, it was outdated, and contributed to heteronormativity. And so she gave me a 0% on the project.
Did you intend it for that purpose? Were you even thinking that way?
I actually used the term biological because I think it was the conservative student in me trying to, not get in trouble, which clearly did not work because she failed me anyways. But no, I did not intend to get in trouble. I wanted to write about what I really believed in, and it was a feminism project. So if you're, okay with trans people competing in women's sports, then aren't you going against the basics of feminism, supporting women?
So have you had a discussion with this particular professor since then?
Yeah, so after she assigned me the 0 on the project, I emailed back and forth with her a little bit, and the conclusion of those emails were that women are outdated, and it was transphobic to say that in my project. And then she pretty much let me know that sex is not binary. And from that point on, I knew that it was not going to go anywhere. So I reached out to other members at the university. I think it was the Gender Equity Office, and then the Title IX office. And it took about 2 full weeks until someone was able to finally work with me to figure out what was going to happen about this grade. And in that time, I had posted a clip on social media, on TikTok specifically, not expecting it to go anywhere. I talked to maybe my couple hundred followers at the time saying, hey, I just got failed for saying biological woman. And in that time, that TikTok blew up to about, I think it was 6.4 million views before I got banned. And so I started getting asked to go on different shows, and a lot of media was, gaining this information, and it really brought a lot of spark to the school, and they realized, okay, maybe we should do something about this because we are getting in trouble here. So they ended up changing my grade. A different professor graded my project, and I got 100 on it. And
Wow.
they also decided to reprimand my professor, and that basically means, give her a punishment for doing this. And that punishment was to submit her syllabus for the upcoming school year, and then to take a free speech course, which in itself was a slap on the hand for failing a student for her opinion. But a couple days after this happened, after it was announced that she was being reprimanded, I found out from a third source that they actually reversed it quietly. Like, they didn't let the media know that the teacher actually didn't end up getting punished.
So, what's your message to America about where we are in this constant debate that affects even a college student trying to get her degree accomplished? And because she uses a term that a professor doesn't agree with, because you use the term biological woman, where are we in our society right now with these culture wars that have been established?
Yeah, we are in a very dangerous time in society where we have universities and companies who are pushing towards erasing women and suppressing free speech. And I have learned that firsthand, where I couldn't say biological woman and I couldn't write about men competing in women's sports without having my speech suppressed and without getting a failing grade. So it's very important to recognize that this is happening across the nation. I am one in thousands of stories of this happening to students. I have received hundreds of messages from other students saying, hey, this also happened to me, or wow, I'm too afraid to even write about that because I know that my grade would be awful if my teacher didn't agree with my project. And I even received a message from a student at University of Cincinnati in 2007 saying, hey, this teacher did this to me, almost the exact same thing that happened to you, and failed me for it. And I looked up that professor, still teaching at University of Cincinnati. So we are at a point in time where universities are using these DEI mandates, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and forcing their students, they're being bullies, forcing these students to take these classes in order to get a job. Because we are pretty much submissive to this college education. We have to do this in order to get good opportunities and good jobs in life.
And what is it you're hoping to accomplish in life beyond this situation that's going on? This too shall pass, my friend, and you will go on to do greater and bigger things for your life and for your family and for your nation. So what is it you aspire to become after college?
Yeah, so originally when I first got into college, I wanted to be a pharmacologist with my chemistry degree and go into pharmacy school. But obviously things have changed drastically, and I am now a campus reform reporter, and I work with the Riley Gaines Center at Leadership Institute as an ambassador. And since then, we have been traveling the country, speaking to college students, hundreds of college students, and talking with them, connecting with them, letting them know you are not alone. You have a support system here at Leadership Institute, whether it's contacting me or contacting Riley Gaines or sending a message to campus reform. Your story can get out there and we will help you, whether it's a failing grade or men are in your sports, anything like that. So I hope to be able to inspire students to speak out, and I hope to inspire students to not stand down to what these schools are doing that to them. And we have seen with like woke companies such as Bud Light, they've lost billions of dollars in revenue because people stood up to it. And I really do believe that with me and Riley and other ambassadors speaking up, we can show schools that, hey, you don't get to bully us and we have the power here.
Olivia, what are you hearing from the students that you have been speaking to on college campuses? What are they saying to you?
It's a lot of support and hate. We definitely get both. A lot of the schools I do go to, the students, they really understand what's going on. They have either experienced it firsthand or they've been hearing about our stories, and they don't want that to be them. And they realize my children in 10, 20, 30 years are going to be in the same position as me. And how bad is it going to be when we get to that point? So I think they're realizing, you know what, we have to stand up. So going to these speeches definitely helps inspire them to, whether it's start a club or an organization on campus, to help support these things or just spread the word. And I really think the students are learning a lot at these speeches, and I think it's really inspiring them to speak out.
And how does all of this impact education across the spectrum? College campuses, high school, middle school, even early education and elementary school?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that diversity, equity, and inclusion is infiltrating our schools to become just indoctrination camps at this point. I mean, colleges across the nation, we've seen, I think it was University of Kansas spent $18 million on diversity, equity, and inclusion services. And one of these programs that is created because of this money is called Safe Zone. And they are teaching professors that sex is not binary, and they're teaching professors how to apologize if you use the wrong pronouns and how to correct yourself. So we're seeing this across the nation that, the schools are spending so much money on DEI trying to indoctrinate these students, and they really aren't focusing on what's important and what's important in degrees. I mean, at what point do we draw the line? Like 2 + 2 is no longer real math. They're saying that that's racist. And that's part of DEI as well. So we're getting so far to the point where architects one day aren't going to be able to build buildings because they're being taught that math is racist rather than teaching the facts of math.
I want to ask you a question. There was a story that broke recently in New York, of course, dealing with transgender women competing in sports against women. And the former Olympian champion, Caitlyn Jenner, formerly known as Bruce Jenner, who of course is a transgender, identifies herself as a transgender woman, came out and in support of banning transgender women from competing in sports with women, going so far as to say we have to stop this because we're ruining women's sports for years to come. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think it's incredible that he would acknowledge the fact that men competing in women's sports is going to damage women's sports as a whole. And it doesn't stop there. I mean, it's women's spaces as well, their scholarships, their national titles, all of these things. And at what point are we just going to get rid of the two categories, the men's category and women's category, because the men are winning the women's category as well? I mean, we have a division for a reason. Title IX was created for a reason, and it's because there are very real biological differences between the two sexes. And he is correct in saying that we have to stop this now before it gets too far, before we have more athletes who are injured. We've seen Peyton McNabb was injured by volleyball in a volleyball game by a man, and she is still suffering from those issues today. And at what point do we draw the line and say, hey, enough is enough, because we cannot take these opportunities from women any longer?
I'm talking to Olivia Krolczyk. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to speak to Olivia about, we've talked a little bit about her personal goals, but let's talk about how she has been able to have this intestinal fortitude and perseverance to overcome what could have derailed the career, collegiate career of most people. Coming back with more in just a moment. Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far of America's Hope. If you'd like to see it in its entirety, just click on the link below. Thanks for watching.